Hey guys, and welcome to my podcast, Holographic Her, a podcast covering all the tiny pixels that makes up our whole three-dimensional holographic life. We are embracing matters of the heart, the head, our health, and all the fucked up hardships life throws at us while winging our way through our 20s. And we are fucking up and failing repeatedly along the way. The podcast is not a pity party, it is the exact opposite thing. It's the fusion of coaching and storytelling, a celebration of the craziness we all experience, and a safe space for all of those who are working hard towards their highest potential and happiest life. If it sounds appealing to you so far, you better buckle up, because we might be like minded, you and I. And I'll just be cringe for a few seconds. If no one told you life was gonna be this way, then I will be the one to let you know that life is a damn bumpy fucking ride. And I sometimes feel like the generation before me somehow forgot to prepare me on how many weird situations you'll face on the journey of figuring out yourself and your whole life. So the fact is, I had an early wake up call on how crazy life is while I was just minding my own business, and damn, suddenly I kept on stumbling into hardships over and over again, and that's quite depressing when you are innocently thinking that you would be an exception to all of the hardships. I thought life would treat me nicely and everything would work out just fine. Jokes on me. Right here, right now, I am getting closer and closer to my 30s and I have absolutely nothing under control, honestly. But the moment I accepted how imperfect and chaotic my life is, that was the very moment I managed to start making U turns and gain some kind of direction. And seen from a bird's view, my life has turned out pretty amazing compared to how much trauma I've been dealing with. By all means, it did take hours and years of reflecting and failing and trialing and redirecting, and it has been quite an evolution. Let me start this very first podcast episode out by flashing some of my own imperfections, and maybe you resonate. Okay, so I have been rejected from university 3 times in a row, and I have spent 9 years working in hospitality to cover my bills. I have been single for 8 years now, which I truly love. But I have turned into a talented third wheel in every single coupled friendship I have. And basically, 90% of my friends are couples. And I'm pretty sure within the next few years, I will beg one of the couples to adopt me legally, because I'm already a full time third wheel anyway. So, yeah, why not? I am an unemployed workaholic, which is a horrible tasting cocktail, just to let you know. And I keep on getting rejected due to more qualified candidates. I have no sense of fashion at all. I cannot watch reality TV without starting to do voiceovers. To be a little bit more dramatic, I have also lost my dad to cancer, and my mom is paralyzed and brain damaged after having a stroke. And I have just learned to cook rice. I am 26 now, and I have just learned to cook rice. And now I have a crazy obsession with eating basmati rice. And then I have so many commitment issues that I don't even dare to adopt a cat, even though I feel quite lonely now and then. Sometimes I just feel like I'm failing in life. But you know what? I honestly wouldn't want it any other way. It's through all of my failures I have found beautiful, beautiful things in my life. And without hitting rock bottom, I would never have grown the mindset I have today. And I would probably never have met certain people, which is both a good and a bad thing. There's quite a few people I would have been better off without. But never mind. My intention with this podcast is to make you feel seen, to make you feel heard, and make you feel like you are chatting with a friend. And I truly want you to embrace all of the imperfect puzzle pieces of your whole life while we pivot ourselves towards our highest potential. Because we are working hard, like fucking hard, right? We owe ourselves to thrive, even though we might struggle. Pour yourself a glass of wine, because I'm the friend who will throw you all of the advice you never asked for, but maybe wished you had. Now that we have come this far, you might be thinking, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Who's the host of this podcast? And that is a really good question. But before I answer, do you know what's terrifying? when you are forced into joining icebreakers in new social circles, or when you are going on a first date or a freaking job interview, and these unbearable questions are said out loud. Tell me about yourself. Who are you? Or even worse, tell me three fun facts about yourself. Fun facts. What information is Julie from HR exactly looking for at the staff event when stating fun? Give me 2 seconds. Let me just look up in this IKEA manual that did not follow with this rig of a construction I am. Should I maybe tell that I have a really weird feeling about the color orange? Or should I tell that I get hiccups when I'm eating chilies? Or that my feet are so white that I would never have been taken into consideration to be the owner of the glass slipper Cinderella lost before midnight? My point is, I can't be the only one feeling naked and exposed when being asked such questions. I honestly don't know who I am or what I like most of the time. Especially not when the question comes off as an ambush. But you, my dear listener, might want to know who I am. But as every fuckboy would say, I'm just not ready for commitment. I have, sorry to say it, I'm really sorry to inform it, but I have decided to pull off a Dan Humphrey and hide behind my screen as Gossip Girl. Who knows, maybe we don't get along. I see this episode as our very first date after we both swiped right at Tinder. And before we both start to spoil our childhood traumas, credit card digits, and addresses, we better figure out whether there is a future between us or not. Which lead me to the selfish decision that I will not name drop myself until I feel this spark in our connection. But don't worry, I will not remain a stranger forever. I will leave plenty of breadcrumbs for you to follow along the way with hints about my personality. So forgive me for being a coward for now. At least I showed up. To give you just a few rapid facts about me. As you might be able to hear in my English, this is not my first language. I'm from Scandinavia. So if you from time to time don't quite get what I'm saying, I do apologize for any potential glitches in my international speaking. What more? I'm a personal trainer, I'm a holistic coach, and a part time student studying naturopathic medicine. I am blonde, I am semi afraid of heights, and that's a quite weird combination with my living situation as I live on the top floor in my building. And I hate fresh coriander. I really hate coriander. And both of my siblings hate coriander. With that said, I really want to dive a bit deeper in the conversation today and share a personal story from my life that made me reflect quite a lot about comparisons and jealousy and the whole feeling of feeling behind in life. So, the other day, I went to the hairdresser and beware, I have just moved to a new city and had to find a whole new hairdresser, which can be terrifying itself. But my lovely, lovely neighbor, she helped me out. And instead of me navigating among 60 different options, she handed me an answer. I could just lean back and receive a first hand recommendation on where to get my roots dyed blonde. Amazing. So far, so good. My appointment came around and I went into the shop, and the cutest hairdresser I have ever met greeted me immediately with the biggest smile, and she quickly jumped into small talk after showing what chair I had to sit in. She went to the back room to mix up hair color paste, and when she rejoined the room, the real talk began. The small talk was over. We were about to dive deep. Oh, by the way, one of the benefits of going to the same hairdresser time after time is how you don't have to tell your life story over and over again as a regular customer. That's one of the many reasons why I usually stick to one skilled professional, so that I don't have to lay awake at night wondering how I should organize all of my traumas when they start poking the topics about my family and life in general. When I booked the appointment online a few days prior, I could just have ticked off the extra service they offered called no chatting during appointment. And yes, that is actually an option. I did not know that was a thing. But as funny as I think it is, I also really respect it because it's really nice to see that people who might be introverted or who have social anxiety or just have a really bad week don't have to ditch self care due to the fear of talking with the hairdresser. And I don't mind chatting at all. I really enjoy it actually. I just have to get over the very first potholes in the road with the questions: who are you? Let's get to know each other. And I really fancy this hairdresser. When she kindly asked questions about my life during the appointment, I replied honestly, and she was so cinematic, heartwarming, and curious through it all. But I did feel a bit intimidated when she acknowledged how she found it impressive that I was only 25 compared to where I am in life right now. And on the opposite side, I naturally asked her questions in return. And in my eyes, she had everything I could ever dream of. She was young, beautiful from head to toe. You know how hairdressers always have this annoyingly beautiful hair? I always end up getting into a really nice routine of using hair masks and moisturizers after going to the hairdresser just because they're a living example of how beautiful hair can be. I just wished I was better at sticking to it afterwards, but yeah, never mind. She was also self employed and has just bought a house with her boyfriend. I could keep on going. She was literally everything that I'm not. And suddenly she says that she wished she had been more like me, moving abroad at a young age and figuring things out along the way. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. First of all, thank you. It's really flattering that you find my life inspiring, but I'm here on the other side telling you that the grass is not greener. I would love to have my life all together in the same way like you have, having all the stable foundations to build the rest of my life upon, because I don't have that. My life is a living earthquake. The whole situation really enlightened something in me. Even though I love my life as it's mine and my mess, I've still caught myself in situations several times where I look at other people's accomplishments and I feel jealous. And sometimes I just simply cannot wrap my head around how some people I admire so much don't feel confident or like they are invincible when they have so many qualities I strive to gain. When you see a stranger on social media, or when you have a sibling or a friend who you assume have it all and seems like they are taking it all for granted. We know that it might not be true, but it still doesn't change the fact that we compare ourselves to the here and now picture they present. And it's not always on the material plane, with how much they own or how good they look. We can also feel jealous regards their personality. Like if someone are skilled at speaking freely without dropping a single shred of social anxiety, or if someone always managed to find the sun rays on very dark and cloudy days, or maybe someone is really disciplined and keep on achieving all of their goals. I often see how we all compare ourselves to both people's belongings and their personalities or personality traits. But when the table turns and someone says they wished they had part of your life, that feels crazy. It feels a bit delusional, and how could anyone ever wish to have bits of my life? We tend to be so blindfolded when it comes to realizing all the things we have that other people might admire. And I really feel like the conversation I had with my hairdresser says a lot. You might not think you are special or exceptional in any ways, or that your life contains jealousy worthy bits, but 99% of the time it really does. You never know who looks at you and wish they had what you have. Like they say, you want what you don't have. We know it's true when it comes to guys, hairstyles, and body shapes, so why don't we trust ourselves enough to know that we might have some silent fans hidden out there that we know absolutely nothing about? We should all be better at cheerleading. Not like the physical act where you have to perform splits and jumping dance moves, but in a verbal way. One thing I have done for quite a few years now is to speak out loud when I find something admirable about another person. And it all started in a champagne high. I'm one of the people who turns annoyingly happy every time I get drunk on bubbles. But in this drunken state, on this specific night a few years ago, I had such a great night and ended up wanting to pass on this good feeling. So I started to compliment every single girl I stumbled into or had a conversation with or who stood in front of me in the bar queue. Imagine the sisterhood vibe you experience when you are out clubbing and end up drunk and chatty in the girls' restroom, borrowing out hair ties to strangers, supporting a random girl who's crying, and hyping up someone named Clara to just drop her stockings that has tearing. It's a magical fantasy world where many Facebook friends has been made and everyone gets along. In my head, I wanted to bring that exact vibe into the rest of the club. As I mentioned, I started to compliment girls when I genuinely found something about them that seemed awesome. I complimented everything from their appearance to their clothes, their dance moves, how heartwarming they felt chatting with. And if I had a one on one conversation with someone, I fed my own curiosity by asking questions and putting them in the spotlight, showing a real interest in who they were and then complimented on their work ethics or goals or whatever. Honestly, I was drunk. Whatever I found amazing in the moment, I pointed it out. And looking back, all of my guy friends I went out clubbing with, they thought I was into all of these girls, especially as I have a really terrible tendency to show absolutely no flirtatious interest in any guys when I'm hanging out with my friends. Love is love, and so is love between the same sex, but it was not the case here. I just wanted to use all these toxic thoughts in a more positive way. So instead of comparing myself to all of these girls, I channeled the thoughts into a positive perspective. Instead of allowing the comparison to grow weeds inside of my head, I put all of the words to life and used them as water to grow another girl's self esteem. Instead of drowning myself in a toxic ocean of doubts, I decided to nourish another girl's level of confidence. And it felt really awesome. It felt amazing because, most of us, even though we might look confident to the world, we can still feel insecure on the inside or unsure about our appearance or paths in life, especially when going out and the vulnerability creeps up on you as the alcohol starts to kick in. Or confidence, who am I to judge? Tequila can go one or two ways, but taking a few seconds out of whatever you are doing to make someone else light up with a compliment are sometimes appreciated even more than when one's mom or best friend gives them compliments. Because very rarely strangers approach strangers with well meaning words. And the night I went out clubbing with my friends, it was all worded to stray away from my friend group to unravel the quest of cheerleading. And it's a trait I have kept with me ever since. When the spiraling and comparison thoughts sneaks up and starts to drain me mentally, I now have found a way to make better use of them and tell people straight up how amazing I think XYZ is about them. But we don't have to say something just to say something, lying and cool. And we don't have to overdo it either, hitting the strangers we approach with a stereo box and a song you spend 2 hours writing about their art. We are not meant to freak people out and make them apply for restraining orders. We are not supposed to scare the fuck out of them as if we were stalkers. But hitting up girls with a compliment when you bump into them at the dance floor or saying something nice to the cashier in your local supermarket can really make someone stay. We should all be better at cheerleading, speaking out loud and telling people when there's something we admire about them. I bet you would feel amazing if someone who's not a parent told you that something about you was pretty awesome. If you try to pass this act on as the first one, I'm sure it will come back to you at some point. Karma is a bitch, but karma can also be really nice. With that said, I know we all try to improve ourselves and make it through life, but getting better is not always isolated to what you do to make yourself better. It's also a matter of character and how you help other people to become better. And it's okay to feel jealous. It's a natural feeling, and sometimes we just can't help ourselves when certain bad feelings start to make their appearance. And it's here I would recommend you to be aware of when these thoughts start to appear and be curious about why they might show up. Maybe there's something inside of you feeling insecure. And when you find the root, it will make it easier for you to figure out a plan to get rid of it or to get out of these patterns of thinking. Lately, I have been a victim of jealousy myself. I honestly admit that. I have absolutely no halo above my head. Even though Instagram is my main social media platform, I have started to use it less and less frequently as I feel triggered every time I log into my account. I see so many inspiring content creators and entrepreneurs who all makes me feel behind in life and behind in my professional occupations. When I see one of their genius posts, I start to compare and punish myself for not having been able to achieve what they have yet. Even though I feel like I work my ass off, I feel like I'm getting nowhere. But when I get caught up in these patterns of thinking, I know exactly where the feelings come from. I know that I'm in a creative startup and I just, the last year, have taken so many small steps towards accomplishing similar achievements. But I keep on dimming the victory of my small steps in the shadow of their major leaps. I have been failing several times in my attempts of making Instagram business pages, websites, and TikTok videos, while everyone I view as successful seems like people who has been successful forever. But I tend to forget that they went on the exact journey that I'm on at some point, feeling like they would never make it. I know the roots of my jealousy and I know how to handle it. When I start to compare myself on social medias or to people I really look up to, I have two different approaches. The first one is this one: I will unfollow their pages, admitting that I'm not yet ready to be exposed to all of the amazing content they share. Maybe further down the line, I will return, but as it is, I'm deciding to take a break and unfollowing them. And the second one is, if I genuinely enjoy following their pages but still feel triggered, I change the narrative and absorb everything they are doing to gain inspiration. Instead of telling myself, why am I not like them? Why can't I come up with such great ideas? I turn to the brighter side of my brain and tell myself, if I keep on going, I can become just as great, but my own version of great. They are a living proof that it is possible to make it. And they did it. I use them as mentors, even though I don't have the money to pay them for being actual mentors. But I look at them as lighthouses who inspires me on my journey, lightening the way while I'm creating my platform. Most of them have been creators and motivational speakers and coaches for years and years, and I have just begun. A lot can happen in a few years. Don't ever underestimate what you're capable of if you refuse to give up and keep on going. If you feel like you are failing in life, it's failing that leads you towards success. It's just an indicator that you keep on learning, so you shouldn't let it push you back. You should keep on going even though you feel like failing. I like the thought of life being just like a video game. You have to accomplish a level to reach the next one. And sometimes you just have to learn a certain skill before you can move on to the next level. And that's okay. We should enjoy the journey and accept that you can't go from level one straight to the final one. But honey, I know you got this, okay? So keep on going, keep on playing the video game, and do whatever it takes to get you to the next level. Maybe it's taking a step back, maybe you have to learn a skill, but whatever you're doing right now, I know you will make it. You are not a failure. We are failing our way through life, and it will make us successful in the end, okay? Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a comment. I would love that. My Instagram page is also waiting for you to join in on the community. And if you really want to support me, subscribing to my podcast is more helpful than I would ever be able to express. I appreciate you and thank you. See you next time.